What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at some Inflight200 February 2025 and March 2025 releases. I'm going to try and make these Inflight200 videos more of a monthly thing, trying to space it out so that I have at least 2 or 3 Waffle Collectibles newsletter posts to take a look at for Inflight200 pre-orders, since they typically announce a new batch every couple of weeks. It seems like there's always something new for them that they're producing. So I'm not sure how they keep up with it. So I last released an Inflight200 pre-order release video on February 17th. So go ahead and start from that point and move on up. So we're going to take a look at the first pre-order page from February 27th, and let's see what we have for this first announcement. First up, we have an Eastern L1011 with the chrome hockey stick livery, which has evidently sold out on pre-order because that's just the nature of the Eastern L1011s. $160, and it is gone. So November 319 Echo Alpha is the registration. Moving down, we have a Republic of Singapore Air Force KC-135R. Very cool. Did not know they had those things, but they are pretty much all around the world at this point. Then we have a German Air Force Airbus A310-300, model A310-304, and that's with the white livery with the flag of Germany stripe across the bottom. 10 plus 21 is the registration. Then we have an A318 house livery, and this is the old school house livery that Airbus had from somewhere around like the 80s up until the 2000s. It's like the navy blue tail with a couple yellow stripes underneath that. So kind of like the original Airbus house livery on the A300, but a little more modernized, if you will. Then we have an Air India A320 Neo and a Continental 707-300 in the black meatball livery. This also has the small titles and looks like a cargo door up at the front, which the CGI kind of shows it leaving the fuselage a little bit, so it's pretty interesting. Wine Air Alaska 737-200. This is with this blue top livery from the 1980s. It's a 210C, so it is one of those combi variants where it's half cargo and half passenger in the rear. South African Airways 747-400 in the old livery. I like that livery on the 744. Looks really good on it. Then we have a Mexicana 767-300. Excuse me. United 777-200ER in the Evo Blue livery. Actually, a non-ER variant, sorry. 777-222, registered November 209er Uniform Alpha. And there's already a photo of it out and it looks really good. Obviously, I'm no 1 to 200 connoisseur expert on, mold proportions and all that, so just kind of eyeballing it, but it looks excellent. Then we have the U.S. Air Force VC-137A. So this is not necessarily the original Air Force One, but it is the previous iteration of the Air Force One aircraft, the Boeing 707. And I did mention previously that this was used for several different administrations. So the 707, specifically Special Air Mission, or SAM number 970, that carried Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, and President Nixon as well, and also had Nikita Khrushchev, one of the leaders of the Soviet Union at the time. So that's very cool, just based on a quick look at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force website Museum of Flight website, since they have it up over there. Very cool stuff. I always like learning about that type of history, and that's something I always like looking into. Moving on, we have a Aerologic or DHL 777-200 with a James Bond sticker, the 007 sticker back there, Secret Agent. Yep, delivered simply something. I can't see what it only says since the wing blocks the titles on there. Then we have an Air Canada 747-100 in the 70s livery and a Swiss Air DC-862. So that is all of the Inflight200 announcements in that post before he goes on to some collection sales, because he's always getting a new collection in, seemingly like every day now. And then our second announcement that we have, so we only have 2 for this video, which will be from March 14th, so about a little over a week ago from now, And starting off, we have a bunch of British Airways aircraft. We have a 737-500, 737-400, 737-300, and a 757-200, and an A318 with a red nose. So, named Flying... Is that Flying Sears or Flying Stars? Flying Sears doesn't make any sense because it's obviously a U.S. retail chain, and so I'll just kind of say it's like Flying Stars or something. Then we have a Northeast Airlines Hawker Siddeley Trident. This is the British airline, not to be confused with the one in the U.S., and it is a hybrid aircraft because it does have British Airways titles on it, so that's pretty interesting. Very tiny British Airways titles for the time, with the rest of the Northeast livery intact. And then another British Airways aircraft, an A319-100. And then we have our first announcement of the 787-10 for Korean Air in the new livery. Obviously, this new livery has generated a lot of differing opinions. Personally, I've started to like it more than when I originally saw it. I think the dark blue Korean titles look really great. The only thing that I don't like about it all that much is the tail. It just looks way too simple compared to the current Korean Air tail with the Pepsi logo is what a lot of people call it. So, kind of wish they would bring that back, but, looking at the livery, if they did keep the current logo, it would be a really, off-key fit, if you will. So, will be interesting to get used to that, and I hope to spot one soon. Then we have a Swiss International, the A350-900. This is with the Characters special livery. And I saw that the A350 for Swiss just rolled out of the paint shop not too long ago, so really excited to see that enter service, and I'm guessing everyone and their grandmother is going to do that type. We've seen it many times before with new aircraft. Then we have an Air Canada Lockheed L1011 TriStar 1. This is the all-white livery with the black maple leaf tail from the mid-90s. Then a Northwest Orient 707 in here. This is the 351C variant. It looks like a hybrid too, because it has Northwest Orient titles on the fuselage, but then Northwest titles at the bottom of the tail. I don't think that specific combination lasted for too long. Air Canada Rouge 767-300, no winglets on this. I've heard that Air Canada is going to bring them back into passenger service for a little bit, but they've been delayed for some maintenance issues. Then we have a TWA Lockheed L1011 TriStar 1 with the twin stripe hollow titles livery. The hollow titles were originally introduced with this livery, but after they saw that you couldn't really read the titles because they were hollow on the inside, they filled it in and gave us the red titles, which is the much more recognizable variant of that livery. So early iteration of the twin stripes from the 70s and 80s. Then we have an Olympic Airways A300-600. Very nice to see that. Always love to see an Olympic release in there every once in a while. Then we have the A319 Neo House livery. This is a type that doesn't get a lot of attention because the last airline I recall having orders for them was Spirit, and they transferred them to some additional A320 Neos. So if I just do a quick check here, I don't know if anyone even has them on order still, because the type is just so tiny. But as far as I can tell, there's only 61 aircraft orders, but that was from September 2023, so whether or not this has stayed the same now is not exactly it. But it looks like China Southern got their first sometime in 2022, order of 4 of them with the LEAP engines. So we do have an operator for it, but just not that well known right now. Then we have a TED A320. This was United's attempt at a airline within an airline. Air Seychelles A320 Neo. Then we have a United A321 Neo. I think this is their second release because I remember seeing one of them. My friend Connor got one of the original releases of that type. It's like $45 or something because it had a paint chip underneath the engine or something. So very cheap model just for that little bit of damage. An Ethiopian A350-1000. Very cool to see this as well. And then continuing down, a Aloha 737-200 in the old livery. Alitalia 742 and an Air Gabon 742, not sure how you say that. And then an Eastern Airlines 767-200, November 605, Kilo Whiskey. with the fingerprint livery. And then our last release is a Malev Hungarian 767-300. So that, my friends, those are all of the Inflight200 announcements for, at least for this video. Now, I'm guessing, or is he going to post another one before this video comes out? There's a very good likelihood that that happens, but hopefully it doesn't, so I'll have to go back in and re-edit the video and all that. But at any rate, some good announcements from Inflight200 once again. A bit surprised that Eastern TriStar sold out, but again, that type has been really popular across both scales, because I think the 1-400, the one that NG announced, I think it was in the January set, if I remember, or February set, one of the two, that has basically sold out just about everywhere. I know there's a retailer that had some trouble getting them in for a few extra weeks, but I think people are starting to receive theirs from that retailer, so that's good to hear. But yeah, I do need to get my hands on an Eastern TriStar if I can find one at this point still, because I'm sure if I do find one, I'm probably going to end up paying double the retail price, because the value of that model, to me, it seems like it would appreciate so quickly that, you know, by this point, it's probably already worth like $80 when it already costs like $55 at retail. So, just the natures of this hobby, always something to just keep an eye out on. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.